Thanks so much for joining us here on Your Sports. It's time to head out there with Glenn Pla in Gainesville, where Glenn gets up close and personal with the perfect Halloween animal.
Outside of Gainesville lies the Lubee Bat Conservancy, a research and conservation breeding center focusing primarily on the endangered fruit bat species. Brian, when you're doing food preparation for bats, it's a little different, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, we have 200 bats here from 10 different species, and all of them are fruit bats. So what we want to try to do is give them a nice variety, give them a lot of toys that's going to stimulate them and keep them enriched, which this stuff right here that we're holding is enrichment for the bats. The enclosure we're going into now has Malayan flying fox, and this is the largest species in the world. They can get a wingspan up to 6 feet.
The faint click of the enclosure's door opening awakened these secretive creatures from their slumber, and they quickly clambered across the chain ceiling towards their awaiting meal. Wow, Brian, these are big bats. So you just hang this up here and they come to it?
They're going to go nuts for them. Nice selection of fruits and vegetables. They're very interactive. They're very inquisitive.
Most people think of bats as being nocturnal in caves. Do they hang out in caves?
There are about 1,300 species of bats, but there's about 200 species like these guys that roost in trees, and these are all found in the Old World, Southeast Asia, Africa, Australia, and South Pacific Islands.
Fruit bats chew their fruit to get the juice and then spit out the rest, which helps spread seeds and pollinate flowers in the wild. Relatively docile animals, they're still a pecking order, especially with these males at feeding time. And when you're in here, Brian, and this guy gets a little tough with you, do you try and flap your wings to intimidate him?
What they'll do is a defensive posturing. They'll open up their wings, and what's funny is they always win because we always leave, so this is their territory.
During my visit, a pregnant female proudly displayed the coming of new offspring to the colony. The local villagers, the center's attentive staff, were quickly making arrangements for the celebrated arrival. I just hope I don't have to birth a bat while I'm here. Brian, this bat looks a little smaller. He looks a little older.
Yeah, this individual's, he's upwards of about 20 plus years old. He is a Rodrigues flying fox, also known as a Rodrigues fruit bat, and he's found on one little tiny island off the east coast of Madagascar, and at one point in the late 70s, these guys were the most endangered mammal in the world, only about 75 left in the entire world. Well, we have quite a few conservation programs around the world. One is where these guys are found on Rodrigues Island. What we do is we actually fund an educator on the island who works with the local communities. It's not only about the bats, but it's about preserving forests and teaching children about the wildlife that's there.
Now that I've got you all gathered here, I want you to fly, minions. Take over the world. Fly, fly. I'm not flying.
Glenn, they're not going to listen to you. They're way too interested in other activities, like painting.
Painting? This group of bats actually did apply paint to canvas, with an inverted perspective to their masterpieces. Brian, these bats can paint, but they can't help me conquer the world?
Well, I need them to start bringing in money. They need to earn their keep.
Is that what it's for?
That's what it's for. Actually, one of our keepers came up with this design, and folks love seeing him paint.
They've got talent.
Quite the artist.
Brian, have you ever had a really old bat suddenly appear from Transylvania that looked different than the other ones?
That's only in the movies.
You never know. For Out There, I'm Glenn Pla.